Hey there everyone, welcome to Tales in Text and I'm your host Nisha Prakash and this is Bite Size Bharata where you hear tiny tales from a grand epic. Satyavati's wedding to King Shantanu took place amidst great celebration. The entire city of Hastinapura was decked up like a new bride herself in lights and festive accessories. The roads were washed and the royal palace was made ready to welcome guests from near and far. Bhishma threw himself into the grand celebration with a peaceful heart. He had publicly stopped going by the name of Devavrata and did not use the title typically reserved for the heir apparent after his promise to the fisher chief Dasharaja. While the whole of the Kuru kingdom was engaged in making merry and welcoming the new queen, the royal ministers and the citizens were privately shocked at the events that had led to the acquisition of the same new queen. Whispered conversations were held behind closed doors and palace walls about the gall of a mere fisherman making such audacious demands of the prince. "Chhi! Such a shameless fellow!" they declared amongst themselves. Of course, they stopped short of commenting this to the queen-to-be or to anyone from the royal family. But they didn't fully trust her either. They also wondered why Prince Devavrata put up with such disrespect when he could have just rebelled, or at least discarded the fisherman's demands and still helped his father get the woman. When Bhishma found out the public sentiment through his royal spies, he threw himself into the wedding preparations more publicly and more fully. He discussed with the king and the ministers of the best way to assure subjects of the stability of the kingdom. Arms were distributed to the poor in Hastinapura and even outside in Satyavati's name. The queen-to-be made public appearances, participating in charity work and religious festivities, creating avenues where the women citizenry and marginalized communities could benefit. Soon it was time for the wedding and the fisher girl was finally united with the king. During their public appearances together as a newly married couple, the entire kingdom could plainly see just how much Satyavati loved and revered the king. They also realized that Shantanu doted on his young wife. And to the joy of all the subjects, neither the king nor the new queen changed their attitude towards or treatment of Bhishma. In fact, the young prince became an integral guide and protector who was trusted with the future of the Kuru kingdom. The trio consulted with each other and the priests and the ministers and grew the city of Hastinapura to even greater heights. Very soon, Satyavati became pregnant with her first child. Everyone prayed it would be an heir to the throne. And so it was. A baby boy. Baby Chitrangada emerged and brought tremendous joy to the kingdom. A few years later, Satyavati gave birth to her second son, Vichitravirya, and both young boys were under Bhishma's care and tutelage. Their elder brother took an intense interest in their education and focused on raising them to be wise, just, and politically astute rulers. For the next few years, life in Hastinapura was idyllic, a peace that was shattered at the death of King Shantanu. The Kuru patriarch had reached a ripe old age and had lived through many rich, if not always happy, experiences. When youth slipped away and old age took its place, Shantanu made preparations to instate his son Chitrangada on the throne of the Kuru dynasty. Under Bhishma's education, the young prince had turned out to be a formidable warrior. Shantanu breathed his last, surrounded by his doting wife and dutiful sons. Sure in the capabilities of the future king, and even surer in the wisdom and courage of his eldest son. King Shantanu of the Kurus was sure that between them, the three princes would take the Kuru dynasty to even greater heights. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, like my video and subscribe to my channel. I'm Nisha Prakash, and this was Bite Size Bharata, where you hear tiny tales from a grand epic. I'll see you next time on Tales in Text.